is Sports Drive.
Welcome back into the Sports Drive. We have Preston on again with us because Preston, we talked a lot about college football just then and even a little bit more in the break. I was spilling more about the NIL, but that's conversations for other days we can have. But now I want to talk a little bit about one of your other fond teams. Can any of y'all guess what it is?
I know I can guess.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
All right. So, Christmas Day games, Christmas, a couple more weeks left of the regular season here. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling mixed right now about the Dallas Cowboys. They're in an interesting spot. I mean, I feel pretty good about Saturday night's game against the Lions. The Lions have a suspect pass defense. We don't know how good they're really going to be. That's kind of where the Cowboys have thrived this year, is in their passing offense, with Dak and CeeDee Lamb have been playing out of their mind. Even last week, a lot of people will look at Dak Prescott after the Miami loss last week. Dak played great. When the offense needed a score to win, Dak drove down the field with that offense with a O-line that was playing horrible. He was under pressure all day against Miami. But when we needed the offense to score, to stay in the game late in the fourth quarter, he did that. When we needed the defense to make a stop against Miami late in the game, to stay in the game, they did not do that. And that's been the story of the Dallas Cowboys for a long time now, especially this season. It's happened time and time again. It's not something that's too surprising. That being said, as for playoff prospects, because with only 2 weeks left in the season, that's kind of where you have to start looking right now. As for playoff prospects, I do still feel pretty good. I mean, the 49ers just got beat pretty handedly by the Ravens, and there's a chance now that with that happening, that opens the door for a lot of things to happen if the 49ers can be beat by good teams at home, because the 49ers lost by quite a lot. Brock Purdy threw 4 interceptions, showed that he does have some weaknesses, showed that he's not necessarily the golden boy, perfect MVP type player that everybody thought he might be. So, if the Niners are losing games to good teams at home, if that can continue, then that shows that that could happen in the playoffs. I could see the Rams knocking off the Niners early. If that were to happen, if the Niners lose in the divisional round, I could see the Rams winning and then knocking off the Niners. The Rams are surging right now. Niners are a divisional opponent for them. If they meet in the playoffs, that's a team that I think I would be afraid of if I were San Francisco. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, they're taking every single team down to the wire. The Cowboys destroyed the New York Giants when they played in Dallas. The Philadelphia Eagles let the New York Giants have one final play, nearly won the game when they played in Philly. So I'm not necessarily afraid of the Eagles come playoff time. I don't think any team really should be afraid of the Eagles, despite... Well, I don't think any NFC team should be afraid of the Eagles in the playoffs except for maybe the Buccaneers, but I don't think the Buccaneers are going to be playing the Eagles in the playoffs. So as a Cowboys fan right now, I feel all right about the Lions game on Saturday night. I hope for the best, and we'll see how it goes as far as the playoffs go. I feel slightly more optimistic after this weekend, seeing that our offense did play well against Miami and seeing that our defense did all right. They only allowed 1 touchdown, but still statistically did not do very good. They allowed a field goal or a trip to the red zone on nearly every single possession that the Dolphins had. So defense didn't look that great. Hopefully they can turn it around. I would not like to see that that run attack of Detroit come into play, because they have a really good run game in Detroit, and that's kind of where the Cowboys' weakness is right now, is in that run defense. So I don't know how I like that matchup per se, but as far as going into the playoffs, I'm a little more optimistic than I was after the Bills loss. That was embarrassing and terrible, and I just felt totally deflated as a Cowboys fan after that. But as far as playoff chances, I think there's a good chance that we could see some upsets in the playoffs after the Niners losing and after Philadelphia just barely holding on to beat one of the league's bottom feeders in the New York Giants. So there is still a silver lining for Cowboys fans, I would say. You know, your quarterback's still playing extremely well, despite what social media might tell you. Just look at the numbers or watch the games and you'll see. Your quarterback's still playing well. You still have a team that's playing pretty well overall, staying competitive against Miami, a team that certainly can beat Philadelphia, certainly can Well, that's not true. Certainly can beat Philadelphia, maybe can beat San Francisco. There's a silver lining there after what the Ravens did last night. I would say if San Francisco had won, I say last night, it was 2 nights ago. If San Francisco had won that Monday night game handedly against the Ravens, I would come on here and I would say San Francisco's winning the Super Bowl and it's not going to be close. They didn't do that. They lost that game, and their quarterback threw 4 interceptions, and the Ravens defense really played well. And if that could be a blueprint, theoretically, if the Ravens defense shows a bit or maybe bits and pieces of a blueprint of how to stop the 49ers offense, there's a chance that we could see some things shake up interestingly in the NFC come playoff time. But as of right now, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm feeling cautiously optimistic as a Cowboys fan, but at the same time, I still think that the most likely outcome for the Cowboys is probably a divisional round loss on the road in San Francisco or Philadelphia. That may not happen, though, but we'll see.
So, funny enough, well, we have a little bit of time. So about that game, though, so it was kind of crazy. I was at my family's house for Christmas Eve. We were all watching the Cowboys-Dolphins game, and I get a notification on my phone from ESPN, and it said final score, Cowboys beat Dolphins 20-19, but, you know, they kicked the field goal. I was like, somebody's getting fired today. Like, I'm talking like it was a push notification. ESPN said, Cowboys defeat Dolphins on Christmas Eve, 2019, whatever. And I was like, I remember like showing my dad. I was like, someone's getting fired. But yeah, so yeah, the Cowboys, as you mentioned. But another game that I was kind of like a little shocked about, we have a little bit of time, the Chiefs. They're kind of
not looking good.
No.
Now, there's a lot of people who are saying Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift and that's why he's playing bad. I want to come on here and say something really quick. That's not why. Travis Kelce's 34 years old. The rarity of a good tight end at age 34 is pretty strong. There's not a lot of good tight ends at 34. It's almost consistently with every good tight end we've seen has taken a step down when they reach that age. Tight end is a very physical position. They're big, they're brawling, they're big guys. They have to block a lot and they have to be athletic at the same time when they're running out on routes. I think Kelce was due for a step down, and I also think Patrick Mahomes is getting really frustrated with that wide receiver group. If Antonio Brown were not crazy, the Chiefs would have signed him immediately. They said they would have signed him months ago because the Chiefs right now, that wide receiver group is really, 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 really hurting them. Mahomes is having to do everything. Andy Reid's having to draw up plays that even he has never done to try and catch the defense off guard somehow because his personnel group in the receiving corps, Kelce's your best one and he's 34 years old and not playing the way he has all year long or all his entire career. And your wide receivers are, the Cowboys have 4, and I'm using the Cowboys because I know them better than any other team, but they have 3, objectively 3, maybe even 4 wide receivers better than any wide receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's bad. Mahomes can't do everything. Mahomes can't do it all. So.
All right, well, Preston, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us a lot today about college and some NFL. But we'll be back here on the Sports Drive tomorrow at 3, so make sure to tune in then.